Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal are in talks with the representatives of Eberechi EZE to bring him to the Emirates Stadium, and personal terms, we understand, have now been agreed according to team news and ticks. However, what is interesting on the Eberechi EZE deal, Arsenal don't want to sign him as a midfielder. They actually want to sign him as a left winger, according to Alex Cook from TalkSport. Arsenal are looking at Eberechi EZE as an option for left wing if we don't get Rodrigo and if we do not get Anthony Gordon. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. This is not a bad deal. I'm going to explain to you why, and I want your thoughts as well on the deal. Do you think that Arsenal should do this deal for Eberechi EZE? But talk to me in the comment box below right there. Eberechi EZE on the left wing, what are your thoughts, right? Of course, we know that, Xavi Simons has played on the left wing before, and we know that players like Eberechi EZE, Morgan Rogers are very well targeted by Arsenal, and they can play in that position. We know that Emile Smith-Rowe has played in that position before, before leaving Arsenal last summer for Fulham. So does it make sense for you guys? Does it come in as an Emile Smith-Rowe replacement, or does it come in as a versatile player that can play on the forward line but also in midfield? Talk to me. Is it a good signing for you? Is it a very good deal? We shall also be talking about the BBC's update on Kudus, the BBC's update on Igor Paxiao, and Sammy Makpu's update as well on Morgan Rogers, and a couple of other players like Rodrigo and the others that Arsenal are interested in. But let's start off with TalkSport, because TalkSport yesterday caused all the problems. They broke this story. According to Alex Crook, he said that Arsenal have added Tottenham Hotspur target Eberechi EZE to their list of potential transfers for left wing options. A cheaper option potentially than Rodrigo due to his Crystal Palace release clause this summer. All the latest transfer stories on TalkSport, you can now go and watch that story right there on TalkSport. But what we can confirm there from this story is that last night, Arsenal added Eberechi EZE, or it was confirmed that Arsenal added Eberechi EZE to their list of left-wing options this summer. And that is where I want us to begin before we dive into the agreement on personal terms and everything, right? Eberechi EZE as a left winger really makes little sense for me. Very, very little sense. And it makes very little sense in a market where Arsenal have these options. Rodrigo at Real Madrid. Okay, he's too expensive. Rafael Leao at AC Milan. Maybe he's still very expensive. Kara Mitoma at Brighton. Maybe Arsenal don't like his age. He's Premier League proven, but maybe Arsenal don't like his age. Anthony Gordon at Newcastle. Maybe he's too expensive and Newcastle are not willing to sell. Mohamed Kudus at West Ham. Or maybe the price is still too much. He's got an £85 million release clause, but West Ham, we are being told, can actually go down a little bit. They can accept something lower than that, than that 85 million. But maybe that is still very, very expensive. You have Igor Paxiao at Feyenoord. But maybe Feyenoord don't want to sell. Maybe Feyenoord are saying, we are not willing to sell, leave us alone, right? What are the other options Arsenal have? Morgan Rogers, right, at Aston Villa. Alejandro Garnacho at Manchester United. Jadon Sancho at Manchester United. Marcus Rashford at Manchester United. We can talk about Noni Madueke at Chelsea. There are so many options. Morgan Gibbs-White at Nottingham Forest. Anthony Elanga at Nottingham Forest. There are so many options for left wing. There are so many winger options right in this summer that for us to sign a midfielder and force him into left wing just doesn't make any sense. But the signing makes a lot of sense for me. I think that this summer, Arsenal fans want to see an out-and-out winger, an out-and-out left winger with speed, agility, finishing, and chance creation. But what if Mikel Arteta decides we already have that kind of profile in Gabriel Martinelli, but we lack another profile, and the profile that we lack is the Eberechi EZE stroke Adagula stroke Xavi Simons profile stroke Morgan Rogers stroke Morgan Gibbs-White. I won't be surprised if Arsenal end up with that kind of midfielder who can also double as an attacker on the left wing, rather than just going for a plain left winger, because we have two options for left wing, that is Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli. And what we need for them to do is to increase and level up their, their productivity, but they are very good players. So why Eberechi Eze makes sense for me is this. Well, Arsenal are signing a number 9 this summer. Either Shesko or Gyökeres, it doesn't matter. One thing that matters when you're signing a number 9, you must have the tools to feed them. A number 9 is like a dog, right? Dogs eat bones and meat and food, but they must be fed, right? And they're like these, they're not wild dogs, because wild dogs will hunt in packs. A number 9 is like a pet at home. It's a dog, a dog, a pet. You feed it. It's as simple as that. You go to the butcher, you order a kilogram of meat with bones, you cook or you give it raw, it doesn't matter. It depends on the breed. So I think that Arsenal signing a dog this summer, Arsenal signing a number 9, you are going to need someone to feed that number 9. And Saka can do that, and Rice can do that, but Odegaard is going to have the biggest responsibility. So maybe Mikel Arteta is saying, because I have Declan Rice already in that midfield and Odegaard, what if I added another very creative player in Eberechi Eze, so that we line up with Eze, Shesko and Saka. Shesko and Saka can give you the pace to run in behind and transitions and everything. And then you have players like Zubimendi, Eze, and Zubimendi, Eze, and Odegaard in terms of creativity. And then Rice then becomes your ultimate box crusher, the guy that scores goals, from deep within, and it can actually work out very, very well for us. So yes, Eberechi Eze as a transfer makes a lot of sense for me. Now, after the breaking story was confirmed yesterday, this is what came out as well. Okay, this is according to Jacob Sven, who says that Arsenal are interested in signing Eberechi Eze. He has a £68 million release clause in his contract, which can be reportedly paid in 3 installments. Talks are preliminary at the moment. Nothing is advanced yet, but you can let us know your thoughts on Eberechi Eze. Well, Team News Antiques came out just a few hours later, and it said this, that Arsenal have an agreement on personal terms with Eberechi Eze, and the player wants to join Arsenal. Crystal Palace price is in 3 installments of 20 million, with 8 million in add-ons. However, with the way Andrea Bata operates, this could just be a backup plan for the club's number 1 left-wing target, who is either Rodrigo or Anthony Gordon at the moment, after Arsenal missing out on Nico Williams. So let's talk about personal terms, and let's talk about that release clause. He's a backup option. I don't disagree with that, right? Because Team News Antiques says the way Arsenal operate, this is a backup option to our number 1 left wing position. Eberechi Eze for £68 million. It is £60 million plus £8 million in add-ons. Wonderful deal. Absolutely wonderful deal. And you know why it's a perfect deal? Because if you were to negotiate with Crystal Palace, they're not going to sell one of their best players for anything less than that, honestly. So go and trigger the release clause. I've given you my blessing, my boys, Andre Bata and Arteta. Go and trigger that release clause. It is the perfect deal, sitting there saying, anyone? I am interested. Eberechi Eze is an avid Arsenal fan. He's a self-proclaimed Arsenal fan. He's always, said, I am an Arsenal fan through and through. He wants to join Arsenal right from last summer. Arsenal are interested in him right from last summer. And he's one of those players that have never changed their mind about playing for Arsenal. He loves the club. So personal terms were not expected to be a problem, but we're hearing that there have been talks between Andre Bata and the representatives of the player, and then Andre Bata maybe discovered that this is a deal Arsenal had tried to progress on before, right? We had tried to do it before, we had tried to progress on it before, and then, you know, this summer, it just becomes even a much easier deal. But I'm more interested in the price, because the personal terms, I think Arsenal can deal with the wages of a player like Eberechi Eze. I'm more interested in the price, 68 million. If you sign Eberechi Eze for 68 million, and you sign a number 9 for 70 million, that is wonderful business. That is wonderful business. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I want Rodrigo more. That's the truth. I'm not going to lie. I want Rodrigo more. I want Rodrigo fast. And that takes us to this story as well, right? Sami Makpo has said that the reports linking Arsenal with Rodrigo are genuine. It's a tough deal to do, though. They will try to do that, and that is their first priority. They'll try to sign Rodrigo first, right? Anthony Gordon is another, right? It's another one that they have interest in. I've heard that from a very, very good source, but again, it's a very, very difficult deal to do. Sorry about that. I thought I was displaying this on my screen. Oh, I wasn't. You know, the question here is, do Arsenal go for an for an out and out left winger, or do we go for a makeshift left winger that actually plays in midfield? I go for Rodrigo. I go for Rodrigo. My top three, this would be my top 4 options, actually top 5 options for left wing. I like the sound of Rodrigo. It sounds like a melody. And then Anthony Gordon. And then Mohamed Kudus. The reason as to why I have Mohamed Kudus over Eze, listen to me. The reason as to why I have Mohamed Kudus over Eze is this. Kudus can play in the number 10 position too. Now, of course, he's not this traditional number 10s, but he can be a kind of an Eden Hazard, right? And can also give you that bit of, you know, he loves this bit of give and go, right? And that is devastating to low blocks. Give and go. It's a very, very devastating technique to low blocks, right? So if Sami Makpo is saying that Arsenal really want to sign Rodrigo first, they will try to do that deal first, and then move on to Anthony Gordon. Those two would be my priorities, and then I would have Mohamed Kudus as my third choice. Then in position number 4, I would have Morgan Rogers, and position number 5, I would have Eberechi Eze. Again, let me explain. So with Morgan Rogers, what you have is a closer player to Emile Smith-Rowe, a much better dribbler. He eats up space more, on transitions more deadly, and he's focused a lot on scoring goals. Now, Eberechi Eze's numbers are not a joke. He's not a joke in front of goal. He's not a joke in midfield. He's a very creative player. But I would have Morgan Rogers before him. But again, Morgan Rogers is going to be very expensive. You don't expect Villa to give you Morgan Rogers for anything like less than £80 million. So I think Eze, that's why the Eze deal makes a lot of sense. Okay, this is according to Sami Makpo, and he's saying that he wouldn't be shocked if Arsenal had made a move if Arsenal had made an inquiry for Mohamed Kudus, because there's been a lot of interest in the player before, in the past. And he says his information on Kudus is that all the top 6 clubs in the Premier League have checked the conditions on that deal. He's got an £85 million release clause for Premier League clubs, but I think West Ham could be willing to take anything below that. There is a long-term interest there from Arsenal, and maybe that is one to watch in the absence of getting Rodrigo and getting Anthony Gordon. So what Sami Makpo is saying here is that Arsenal are clearly going for a number 11. They want a left winger. But in the absence of a left winger, in the absence of a player that they actually consider priority, they might look at Eberechi Eze. They might look at Morgan Rogers. They might look at midfielders that can actually play in that role. And I tell you, Arsenal, I don't have a problem with that. That is very, very good thinking. This is according to Gary Jacobs from The Guardian, and he's saying that Real Madrid's Rodrigo, Morgan Rogers at Aston Villa, and Feyenoord's Igal Paxiao are all options on Arsenal's list for wide attackers, with the club's new sporting director, Bata, exploring a couple of options. Morgan Rogers, I like. Midfielder, can play as an attacking outlet as well. Igor Paxiao is a Brazilian out-and-out left winger. But is Igor Paxiao at Feyenoord an upgrade on Gabriel Martinelli? He had 16 goals last season and 10 assists. That is 26 goal involvements. But in the Dutch Eredivisie, that is easy to get. In the Premier League, it's a little bit harder. But Eberechi Eze is one to watch for us.